The first chapter of Emily Frankel's novel, Karen of Troy. Stepping into the revolving door, Mrs. K was scared. What does a grown-up lady do? Despite panic, she does what's expected of her. Digs in her purse for her admission ticket, rereads the instructions, 12 noon, mezzanine room 101. Though she knows where to go, whose voice is it that prods her to quit procrastinating, find her bearings, and proceed? Her husband's. And that reminds Mrs. K of the list of questions from the divorce lawyer that's in her purse. The thought of the divorce propels her like a bat out of hell across the hotel lobby. No doubt about it, Mrs. Sidney K was very nervous. She was hot and cold in the June noonday sun that poured in from the skylights above. Heart beating in her throat, she had difficulty swallowing. She could barely catch her breath. With each step toward the bank of elevators, she fought the impulse to turn and run for her life. Her skirt, crackling with electricity, was climbing rudely between her legs. Trying to straighten it, she caught a girl in torn jeans giving her the once-over. Read the girl's mind. Yucky dress, poor lady. She blinked to banish the girl, blinked to focus on the hotel's welcome sign that said GM Conference, LSAT, Senior Citizen Forum. Mrs. K entered the elevator. Two boys in torn jeans, followed by the girl in torn jeans, crowded in. Obviously, they were headed for the law school's admission test. When the elevator opened, there was already a crowd, a line. Dozens of young people checking watches, smoking, though the sign said no smoking, and others were sitting on the floor, bent over the test preparation booklets. It was 11:25 a.m. No official, no ticket taker was at the door of 101. Mrs. K rooted in her purse, making sure she had the pencils, pencil sharpener, driver's license with the photo ID. She reread the instruction sheet. Seats will be assigned. Number 2 pencils only. No eating, no drinking. A skinny girl turned to Mrs. K and said, "Wonder where the John is." Glad to do something, Mrs. K pointed to the sign. "I'll hold your place in line." Skinny girl said, "I think this is the line for the law school tests. LSATS. Yes. Mrs. K sensed the girl was more nervous than she was. Skinny girl said, ultra-politely, "I think the senior citizen gig's on the 2nd floor." Oh. It took a second, 2 heartbeats, to muster a smile and hold up her ticket to prove she belonged there. The boy standing behind Mrs. K said, "Hey, lady," and pointed. The line was moving toward an official-looking young guy who had set up a table with a sign-in sheet and ink pad for the required thumbprint. Mrs. K quickly gave the official her ticket and ID, ready to say hotly, "Yes, I am taking the test. Say loud and clear." The official-looking young man said, "Last name K, first name Karen? Right thumb, please." He pressed her thumb on the ink pad, pressed her ink thumb on the ticket. "Seat 36. Keep your ID handy. Good luck, Karen." "Thank you." Mrs. K turned away quickly so he wouldn't see that his friendliness had touched her. See how teary, trembly she was. Room 101 was filled with tables and numbered chairs. Seat 36 was in a shaft of sunlight. A girl was in seat 37, filing her fingernails. Mrs. K said, "Hi." The girl didn't look up as Karen sat down. Karen dug for her reading glasses, arranged her pencils and pencil sharpener, estimated there were 50 chairs. Half were filled. No one looked very grown up. Number 35 arrived. With him, a sweat smell. A shrimpy-looking kid, no more than maybe 14. Her watch said 11:40. She took out the divorce lawyer's list. He wanted numbers, spouse's age, how long married, how many children. Numbers, numbers. The shrimpy kid set out a small clock with numbers too small to read. Her watch said 11:51. The room was filling up with stale smoke, underarm deodorant odor, noise that pressed on Mrs. K, closed in around her like a wool blanket at the beach, catapulting her back in time. Little lost Karen. Hot sand. Coney Island striped umbrellas. Where, oh, where did she belong? Not here. Not there. No place was home, with familiar faces, comforting arms, Sydney's arms. When was the last time? New king-size bed that he'd never slept in. Mrs. K jammed the lawyer's questionnaire back in her purse. Suddenly there were 3 officials in suits. One rang a bell, the other placed a gray folder in front of each person. Wincing as a young man slapped a folder on her table, she mustered a smile. "Thank you." "Your smile makes me smile, darling," said darling Sydney. 100 years ago. A minute ago. The bell ringer said, "Remember, no blackening of answer spaces after the time is called. No erasing, no transferring answers from the test booklet to the answer sheet once the time is up. When I ring the bell, start." What does a lady in pain do? A lady with insecurities galore about her age, the state of her waistline, the difficulties she's having remembering phone numbers. What are her options? If she's in her 50s, about to be dumped by the man she's lived with for years and years, what can she do when her little girl self is utterly terrified? Her bladder is suddenly full, and the sun is in her eyes. The lady summons the steel, summons every ounce of toughness that's in her. She shoves on her glasses and grabs the number 2 pencil. The young man rang the bell. Mrs. K opened the folder and took on the test. When I finished this chapter, I had to turn the page to find out what happened next.